Welcome to Breaking the Chain, brought to you by Impel Talent. I'm Nathaniel Chapman.
And I'm Terentia Browne.
Welcome back to Breaking the Chain. This week, I'm really excited on our core topic because we're going to start with understanding why does ticking something off your list, your to-do list, feel so good. And today we're diving into the brain science behind why rhythm, consistency, discipline aren't just good habits. They're biochemical power moves. Think of your brain as a chemistry lab, which T will love. And with the right rituals, you can make it actually work for you. So today we're going to really dig into what parts of your mind can work for you rather than against you, and also reflect on both mine and Terentia's experience with trying to drive these sort of rhythms and consistencies.
I actually am looking forward to it. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be back. I'm looking forward to it because there's been some things that I've learned recently that I'm excited to share. I think it's always good for us to be filling our cup, learning new things and coming and sharing with this community that can help you, that can impact you in a positive way, that can challenge you the way things have always been done. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the things that I've learned, and hopefully this is going to serve you and add value to your life.
I think when we thought about an episode for this week, we were really conscious of the fact that I think everyone in their day-to-day life can go through tough times, difficult parts of your work. When the times are good, it's really easy to remain consistent. And I think as a business, when I reflect over the last 12 months, we've probably gone through some of our most difficult, well, it has been our most difficult previous year ever. And the market had issues. We had challenges with opening new offices, all sorts of things that contributed to us needing to just be to persevere and remain consistent and keep driving forward, because it's now resulted in us coming into what will be probably one of our biggest months ever. We're leading into now a new financial year, a smaller consolidated team delivering large scale results. And myself personally, I've been in recruitment now. I hate to say it's over 10 years because I feel so old. But I've learned this lesson so many times about the key of, even when things are the time is tough, it's easy to quit. I probably learned this first in high school football and in rugby, where I was pushed to keep going. I remember my mum, when I was very young, I played freshman football in American high school. And I remember her not telling me to quit, but basically telling me to push through what was at the time a lot of pain, early morning workouts, getting smashed around in football pads in like 100-degree heat in Arizona. But persevering through that and driving that consistency, that led to an amazing outcome long term. And it shaped me into the person I am today. And I think because I've been able to see the reward of longer term sacrifice that sometimes not everyone can see immediately, I find this episode something so fun to explore, because I always get pulled into the detail when studying the human brain. I love studying the human brain. I love reading about why human beings act the way we do. That's probably why I love so much the work we get to do at Impel Talent and the work that Terentia's team does with coaching and leadership development. So really excited to break down each of these things and give you some tools that you can walk away with from this episode and apply to your life.
Great. Well, so let's dive in and introduce the topic.
Absolutely. So today, one of the first things that probably makes sense to identify is a molecule called dopamine. So for those of you that don't know, dopamine is actually a chemical that's released in our brain when we pursue or achieve goals. It's actually it's not the happiness chemical, which it's commonly misconceptualized with. It is like the reward or the anticipation chemicals. When we complete something that we weren't expecting to complete, or commission comes in that even in the back of your head you thought might come in but doesn't come in, you have this overwhelming excitement, this incredible short-term feeling of reward. And it's more, and it's built for anticipation more than it is satisfaction. But the really fun piece about dopamine is it creates a feel-good loop. So when you complete small tasks, when you're looking to create consistency and build a rhythm in your life, we always talk about trying to complete small tasks first, right? Just get yourself in a position where you are, where small daily triggers and those small dopamine hits can help you build momentum.
Yeah.
And there's an incredible book for those that are interested called Dopamine, the Molecule of More. It's written, I cannot remember who's written that book. I'll have to come back to it, but it's terrific. And it's essentially, he studies how dopamine impacts our lives as a whole, if you're interested in digging into the topic further. But Terentia, what do you think? Because obviously, how has dopamine impacted your life, and how do you think people can harness it for good?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it was the first point was to understand what it is. What is this chemical? And how to tap into it. I think we hear about dopamine hits when we see the number of likes on our post, or we see people commenting on things that we are doing, those sort of things. But I think it goes far beyond that. It's about harnessing this chemical. I think one of the things that I learned that I wanted to share with everybody is this term called biohacking. So have you heard this term before, Nate?
No, it sounds really interesting. It sounds like people who you hear people injecting themselves with bionic arms and doing the self biohacking. I know it's not that, but
no, it's definitely not that. It's much simpler than that. It's basically a very simple definition is being able to use science, to use technology, and also some self experimentation, right? To understand what does it take for your physical and mental performance to improve? So for your health to improve or to extend your lifespan in some way. And so this can really come from very small changes or very simple changes to your diet, to your sleep. There was something that somebody said that stuck with me. They said, we need to sleep our way to the top. And it has a very different connotation to what I think people are used to. But sleeping your way to the top means actual sleep, because your brain actually gets a chance to rest and heal while you are sleeping. So for me, it was really around understanding what is this term biohacking and how can I, hack into the body's biology to get better results. And so it really comes down to understanding what you said, that dopamine, what can it do? How can it help us create good habits? How can it help us create a rhythm that makes sense for me? I cannot copy your rhythm. I cannot copy, my friend's rhythm or my parents' rhythm or my brother's rhythm. I have my own rhythm and I need to figure out that rhythm. So I think it comes back to, we talk about emotional intelligence, and one of the core skills is self-awareness. And once you know, you can then manage yourself, which is the other core skill, the self-management. So without understanding yourself, it's very difficult for you to then create what that rhythm is. And it does come from trial and error. So it's not about, I just wake up today and figure out what that rhythm is. I've got to experiment. And that's what the biohacking is self-experimentation. It's maybe wearing technology. So having wearables that's tracking your sleep, that's tracking your heart rate, that's tracking the number of steps you do and how you are feeling physically, and then making changes to adapt to that. Really just understanding the body.
Well, and it's interesting when you bring it back. The reason I wanted to dig into what dopamine actually is and discuss it is because if you don't understand why you feel good when you complete a task, you're just kind of powerless to understand how you can replicate that feeling or emotion.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, dopamine is and I did get the name. It's Daniel Z. Lieberman, MD. Great book. And actually the full title is The Molecule of More: How a Single Chemical in Your Brain Drives Love, Sex, and Creativity and Will Determine the Fate of the Human Race.
Wow.
It's on my top reading list. Absolutely recommend people pick it up if you've got a chance. But one of the key interesting pieces and why on your to-do list, when you're starting to tick through your to-do list, you get that it's actually, you can keep replicating a dopamine hit by completing new tasks on your list, is because it is a novelty chemical, meaning dopamine hits can fade with time. And I think we've talked about this in some other episodes too, when we talk around the power of having a company that you want to work for and the values and the vision that create serotonin and oxytocin, sense of belonging, versus commission or money or position, which are dopamine hits. They're like short-term hits. Similarly, when you I don't know if you ever had this, but you have a song that you love.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, like after a few months, you're like, I hate this song. Like, or like it comes on and it doesn't impact you the same way.
Yes.
The same can be said for your like favorite restaurant. People fall out of love with their restaurant that if they go back to it too many times, which is so weird, because why would your brain have rewarded you so heavily for visiting said restaurant? And then all of a sudden you're like, it's not as great. You know, nothing really repeats sometimes the high you have experiencing something for the first time. So understanding that dopamine has that hit, and that's why I say it's not the happiness chemical, it's the anticipation chemical.
Yes.
And applying that to your to-do list is so critical. So the first thing, when we talk about things you can take away from this episode, but if you want to drive consistency in a task, definitely build yourself a day-to-day to-do list, a plan of action for the week, structure your approach, because you have to start to build those habits to build consistency. And don't be afraid to start small. We in the gym mentality, people say the first piece is just getting in the gym and completing a workout. It doesn't have to be heavy or crazy. Your brain will reward you for taking that first initial step and starting to build consistency.
Why is it difficult for us to build consistency, do you think, or even like create habits?
Well, I think routines are typically quite difficult. It's interesting that like your habits sit in your brain, and like to process a new habit, your body has to fundamentally change, right? And your body doesn't typically want change. That's why habits are so powerful. And sometimes those habits aren't healthy. They're eating chips on the couch or skipping the gym. You know, I was just saying to my partner yesterday, like I struggle. We got out of the loop for a minute, and all of a sudden it's so hard to pull you out of bed to go and do something that when I'm in it every day, I'm like, I don't understand how I could stop. But as soon as I take a break or I step away from it, you're having kind of like delayed gratification. So your dopamine system isn't activated and you're being rewarded for other things. And I suppose there's various parts of discomfort and resistance. And your brain, I think, has to work extra overtime to help you rewire. I think you've talked to me about this before, neurological pathways.
Yeah, exactly. And as you were speaking, I just maybe wanted to share that I actually was on a course to understand a bit about the brain, because I get fascinated to understand how the brain works, and then and why is it and creating habits. How can we do it? So I tested the theory when I was learning it, because, always need to test the science. And so basically what they said is you have different synapses in the brain, right? And so if you're creating a habit, you're creating a neural pathway between different synapses. Now, every time you choose that pathway, you lay down something called myelin sheath. So basically it's connectors. So it's connecting all the synapses. And every time you choose the same pathway, you strengthen that connector, the connections between the pathway. Now, you would have had bad habits, like you said, that where you may have reinforced those neural pathways. And so when you create a new habit, if you start something and you don't see it through, you basically haven't reinforced it as much as the bad habit, which means your default pathway becomes the bad habit. So this is why if you've taken years to create a bad habit, it's going to take you years to create the good habit, because you now need to get even better and stronger than the bad habit, if that makes sense, so that that pathway is stronger.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Okay. And it actually leads us perfectly. Sometimes I'm surprised how unplanned this is, into our next point. So into the second chemical that we can start to identify is serotonin.
Yes.
So it's what we consider our mood stabilizer. And you were just mentioning it there, that it is actually released through routine, connection, and contentment. We've talked about in previous episodes the impact of serotonin being released when people are connected to a purpose or a vision or their values. But it similarly can be something where when you build rhythm into your day, consistent sleep, meals, routines, serotonin starts to stabilize your system. So it's also why when you set bad habits, your body also is set into something that is consistent. So when you get off work and put the television on and put your feet up and you do that consistently, your body feels comfortable. It's an easier thing to slide back into than to change your day to day.
Exactly. I think the example that I wanted to share how I tested that theory was learning how to tie my shoelaces differently. So,
Oh no.
so I tested it because the facilitator of the course said, test me and see how it works. So obviously the first time I tried tying my shoelaces differently. And he said, so the main driver here was that if you learn to tie your shoelaces in this way, it will never come undone. It's called the runner's knot. So as you walk, as you run, the laces actually tighten and it never comes undone. I've tested this theory for many years now. I think I learned this in 2016, and it's going to almost 10 years. And I now use that way of tying my shoelaces. But the first time I did it, it didn't work. Like my brain defaulted to the old way. And then what they said was, you need to undo the laces again and try the new way. So I kept forcing myself. Every morning I would by default tie it the way I knew. But then I was like, nope, I did it wrong. Open it up and try the new way. It took me a bit longer, but now I can't tie it the other way. I even forgot how I used to tie it. So how do you tie your shoelaces?
Oh, I hate that. You knew you were going to ask me this question. I'm still in the embarrassing person. Some people honestly see me tie my shoes and they're like, what is wrong with you? When I was a child, I was given a book. It was like a bunny book around how to tie your shoelaces. Probably like 3 or 4 years old, younger. I don't know what age you learn to tie your shoelaces. And it's the bunny ear shoelace tying technique. Create the 2 bunny ears, tie it, whatever.
It's working for you.
I still tie my shoes that way. I've taught myself the loop around, you loop it around your finger. But weirdly, I still, even though I've learned it, I was like, I go back to what is familiar and normal. And it is, people literally take the piss, which I totally understand, because it is like the childish way to tie your shoes. I don't know. I'm telling the podcast.
I asked you because I knew that, because I thought that was a funny one.
Everyone heard that. Oh no.
The bunny ears, but no one's going to forget it. And so hopefully after this episode, you challenge yourself to go learn the runners.
Don't do the bunny ears. Do something different.
Go learn the runners knot. Because you are active. You play sports. So it's a good motivator for you. But I think it's a simple one, but it proved to me that I can unlearn things and relearn new habits. And that's what I learned out of that whole program, actually.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think there's definitely ways that you can make it easier on yourself to learn new things or implement new things. So like we talked about this earlier this episode, but start small. One habit, 2 to 5 minutes a day. That sounds silly, but like I've said to people who are getting into fitness, get up and do crunches every morning for 30 seconds. You can build on things slowly. Tying your shoelaces takes about 10 seconds. I should probably just introduce it into my daily habit. You've challenged me now, so I'll do it on the next episode.
Yes.
Another really good tool is to use what is called consistent cues. So like, I do this with my partner. We go, if we're going to, in our gym routine in the morning, we'll go first thing in the morning, alarm at the same time. And you'll be surprised at just how more like we're up at the same time, we're out the door, but when we mix up that routine, it can shuffle me. Like I went to the gym at lunch today and I was less like, I almost didn't go. And I literally, because I know this stuff, I literally beat up my brain about it. I'm like, no, you're going.
That's good. Self-talk.
But creating, and we're talking about this now, Tim, and we're doing it with business development within our business, saying to people, okay, I know sometimes the outreach and the connections and that stuff, but put it in a part of your day that's consistent. And get into a routine of doing it, because otherwise tasks that you may not be as interested in doing, they fall by the wayside. They're easy. Human beings are very easy to push things away that we don't want to do.
Yeah, it's easy to procrastinate. I think the habit that you said, start small. I think that's the key. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just keep adding time to it. And again, it's not the quantity, sometimes it's about the quality of what you're doing. So I think for us, that's something that I'm constantly thinking of. Am I great at that? No. We are teaching it, not the greatest, but there's certain things that I've really tried to implement that I know is going to set me up for success. And one of it is reducing the blue light exposure before going to bed. I think that has helped me to just have deeper sleep, to fall asleep much faster, because I'm deactivating the brain before sleeping. And then one ritual that I consistently do, I pray. So for me, it's to show gratefulness. So showing gratefulness at the end of the day, what am I grateful for that happened that day? It helps me to just unwind and just just reduce that stress and anxiety maybe that I had during the day. It just reduces it and just helps me to fall asleep. So I have better sleep, because I notice when I don't do it, I wake up in the morning and I'm still feeling tired. And that's because my brain was still very active. So some of these habits, these consistent habits, again, it comes back to that biohacking, knowing yourself, knowing your body. How can I hack my brain? Because while I'm sleeping, my brain is healing. My brain is recovering from all that I put it through in that day. And so you want to set your brain up for success while you're sleeping. That's how I see it. And so, it's just understanding.
I love that you latched on to a previous existing habit. So you were saying, I want to cut down screen time, then pray, then go to bed.
Yeah.
That's another really good tool to helping drive consistency, tie it in. So if you've got routine with other areas of your life, tie it into that routine, because it kind of gets piggybacked across. And just don't forget to celebrate every win. Dopamine loves high fives, right? So if you're like stoked and you've done something that you're proud of, don't be afraid to reflect on that. And
exactly.
I also think, this is silly, but it's not silly, but track your and reflect. A lot of the habits I've introduced this year have come as a direct result of the goals we set, the episode we did at the beginning of this season around setting goals, and then remaining consistent towards those goals, and then starting to track the successes around it. Because when you do that, you can feel so much more positive about the changes you've made.
Agreed. Something I struggle with though is, the consistency, I think, is very much linked to the discipline. I know we're going to touch on that, because to be consistent, you need to have discipline. And I think it's almost like a chicken and egg story, I find. You need to have the discipline to be consistent. And then the consistency then drives the discipline. It's a hand in hand. How do you stay disciplined on some of these things?
I definitely think some of the tools we've talked about help, because, and we've actually talked about some tools of assisting you with change anyway, like do it with a buddy. I love an assistant. We do it to each other for tasks that we don't like to do. We hold each other accountable. Did you get this done today? No. Yes. Okay. And they're like, oh, all right, fine. I'll do it tomorrow. And similarly, so I think discipline you can use outside support structure. But I also think you need to know the purpose behind why you're making the change. So like, I tend to find that if you it's almost like a double-edged sword. If I reflect too much about the outcome that I want, and there's a really cool quote about this that I read on, I'd love to say it was from some crazy, incredible book, but it was on Instagram. And the person was saying, like, you don't want to get six-pack abs. That shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be a lifestyle change.
Absolutely.
And then the result should be the abs. So if it's something where like your goal is something that you can connect with or be on board with, you're more likely to be more disciplined. So I'd say connection to my goal, using people to hold me accountable. And then finally, I think there's a little bit of just having grit, like deciding,
love that word,
being like, I've decided I'm doing this. So, and I probably have to do that to myself with so many tasks where there's always an excuse. There's always a reason not to do it, especially if it's something that isn't pleasurable in the short term. Because funny enough, when you get into a routine, pleasure does come long term. I'm just like, get on with it, get through it. And I think for the last year, me and you can both agree that if you don't, I think because we're so aligned with the business values and the vision and the mission, and you can have that grit is easier to come by, because you're just like, I believe in this and I'm going to get up and show up every day. Regardless. I don't care if it's been the worst day ever. We've had, I don't know, tornadoes rip the whole office up or whatever. I'm going to show up and do my bit. How about you? Does it resonate at all?
Absolutely. I think all what you've said, all three, I love the word grit. We actually just used it recently. We were doing a values workshop with one of our clients, and that's one of the values they picked. Is grit. And so, it really shows there's perseverance. There's, you can pick yourself up when you are knocked down. That word just encompasses so many things. I really love it because everything is not smooth sailing every day of our lives. It just isn't. It just shows the resilience you have. So it's really understanding yourself. What do you need to pick yourself up? And for me, I think just having people, like-minded people around me. So like you're saying, so even the day when you don't feel at your best, you're like, you know what? Nate's doing this. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this, or call, phone a friend. Our colleague, so Renisha, is the one that, in the morning is a pick-me-up moment. She has amazing energy. We call it Renergy. And so just to get a piece of that sometimes, because you wake up and you think, how am I feeling today? Because I'm going out, I'm going to be coaching people, I'm going to be interacting with people and really serving them. I need to be at my best, but what do I need first to fill my cup before I can, serve someone else? And I think this for me is very much linked to having the like-minded people in my corner, around me. And I think most importantly is tapping into that. So like you said, that accountability, having the accountability buddy, you've got to reach out and ask for that support. The person may not
Showing
always
up for each
know.
other
Yeah.
has been great. I think that's probably one of the things I've enjoyed so much about us working together and the team and Renisha, everyone in Power. Like, sometimes I'm having a crap day, but I still want to come in and have high energy and push everybody, because I know it can impact somebody else, and I know they can be in the same spot as me. And I definitely feel how you show up for others is important. And it takes us into our third chemical. Naturally, we've done it all. Endorphins, which everyone always hears from, like, runner's high. When you're at the gym, endorphin, we always hear about it from that perspective. But the reality is endorphins are released, whether that's during movement, challenge, and laughter, actually, funny enough.
Oh, love
so that. Best way to, like you were saying, stay disciplined is to use some, because most of the time the reason your discipline starts to falter is because a task it feels a bit insurmountable, or you feel easily able to give it a miss or a quit. But really you want to be able to kind of mask that pain and reduce stress, and ideally get a bit of a feel-good wave. So it's why when you push through exercise, it sucks, and then you finish, and then you have such an endorphin or such a high. So if you can pair a habit with movement or laughter, funny enough, you can get a double hit of endorphins, and actually it can fit into all three of the chemicals we've talked about, whether that's reward for completing your tasks, serotonin for creating rhythm, and then pairing that with endorphins to really give you this fun concoction of brain neurochemistry.
Absolutely. I actually did a webinar once, and the gentleman, his name's David J.P. Phillips, he called it the angel cocktail. So the cocktail of endorphin, serotonin, noradrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin, like just understanding what each of them does for you, and then how do you tap into it. But I love what you were saying around, like, the laughter. So there's a funny story. We used to do Zumba classes as a leadership team when I was working still at J&J. And it was a really good laugh. So you're basically learning the moves, but not all of us are very coordinated, right? So I think that counts. You're moving, you're laughing, because you're laughing at yourself, you're laughing at others. I think that's a good combo. But a great tool that I use is from a lady called Mel Robbins. She has a really good podcast, but she's written a few books now. And one of the tools that she uses is the 5-second rule. So I think that's the name of her book, the 5-second rule. So when you feel like you don't want to do something, you basically can hack your brain and you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you say, engage. So you basically tell your brain, I'm going to count down from 5, and when I hit 1, we're going to go do it. And she's proven that it works. So if you don't want to get out of bed, you say, I'm going to give myself 5 seconds. I'm going to count down, and then the brain engages. There's some magic thing that happens because suddenly you do engage and you're actually going to do it because you just said to yourself, I'm going to do that. And you count down and then it engages. So a quick
I feel like I've done
biohack.
that to myself.
Have you?
I feel like I've been in bed and been like, it's time.
Yeah.
Like, get up.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go. Yeah.
So I definitely get it. I definitely understand it.
Yeah. It's just again, hacking the brain and helping it. I think we just need that little bit of extra push. Maybe it's your partner doing it, but I think the self-motivation, I think, is more sustainable. So it can be any task, even on your to-do list, the one that you've been pushing down and down and down the list. And you go, you know what? Today's the day. I'm going to count down from 5 and I'm going to attack that, item on the list. Because honestly, we need these different tools to help us to figure out, okay, what do I need? What does my body need? What does my brain need? So if anything you take out of this episode today is really going and exploring more about yourself, how your brain works, how your body works, because the biohacking, there's so much of data that you can get, but what you do with that data is most important. So understanding which chemicals you need to engage, right? How do you tap into it from a dopamine perspective, serotonin, the endorphins? I think that's the biggest key. And I keep linking it back to the core skills of emotional intelligence. It starts with yourself first. The self-awareness, the self-management, before you can go and, relate to anybody else and build connection with anybody else. It starts with you understanding who you are.
I absolutely love that. And I would say that consistency is not boring, and it is actually brain optimization.
Love that.
So if you can build brain optimization by utilizing the chemicals that exist naturally within your brain and rewarding yourself properly, you can take small wins, dopamine.
Yeah.
You can take meaningful routines, serotonin, and you can anchor those with physical anchors, which are your endorphins. When they all work in sync, and maybe trickle in a little bit of oxytocin, get some general connection with people.
Yes.
It's incredible. And daily discipline is not a punishment. It's designing your day-to-day trigger of chemistry of confidence, creativity, and calmness. So how can you utilize these chemicals to really get the most out of you? So as a reflection point for the end of the episode, I would think of well, actually, you know what? I'll give you this prompt. I was going to give it to our guest, but I'm happy to chuck it to you.
Yeah.
What's one small task you can repeat every day that gives you energy? Maybe something a bit bizarre. What's something that already gives you energy that you repeat on a daily basis? You kind of mentioned praying at the end of your day.
Yeah, I think for me to start the day, because I cannot drink coffee, that I don't like it. My body just rejects it. I feel sick after having it. So I need to find other ways to wake myself up. So for me, it's actually doing the slow ease out of bed. So it's not like reading the news or anything like that, but just putting something positive into my mind and just thinking about how am I going to start the day? What is one thing that I need to accomplish by the end of this day that I'm going to feel happy and satisfied with when I put my head on the pillow, pray and go to bed. So that's my routine in the morning. I don't rush. I'm not a alarm snoozer. I switch the alarm off and then I lay there and I just deliberate on these things and just start the day on a positive note. That has also taken consistency and routine to get, because I was always the snoozer, right? Let's sleep till the last minute and then get out and then start. I've stopped doing that. I've actually just said an hour earlier before I need to start everything. So I get up. I never used to eat breakfast. That's something that I trigger now. I have breakfast. I've included like collagen, cinnamon, these things like fiber, like good, and not having sugar, anything sugary in the morning. So these are all like a routine that I do within an hour of starting my day. And that has taken time. That has absolutely taken time. I never was good at having any sort of routine, but I forced myself because I knew that creating those good habits helps to set me up for success for the day.
I introduced sauna and steam rooms into my life, and I've used them actually as a reward chemical. So I can only ever go if I go to the gym.
Okay.
I used to do the same in my old gym who had a hot tub, and I was like, I want to go in the hot tub, but I can't just go to the gym and not go and just go in the hot tub. So I have to earn the right to the hot tub. I love that.
That's good.
I've also used that for dirty eating habits. So like, I don't like a cheat day. So, but I do like a cheat day, but I don't like the idea that I have to no exercise. So if I say we're going to go eat something really unhealthy, I have to do the workout in the morning, and then I reward myself with greasy cheeseburger, fries, whatever. So I find that those things have been quite interesting to use endorphins to find a reward, a small reward, and it could be anything for you for the task that you complete. Maybe give yourself something that gives you a push first,
Yeah. And only you will know that. I would say, as a final thought, test and learn, because you've got to try different things for you to figure out what works for you. What's your rhythm look like? And some things may work and some things may not, but that's the beauty of waking up every day and trying to figure that out.
100%.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave you all with this, a little bit of homework for our listeners today. We want you to try 1 5-minute consistent action for a week. Okay. Find something, whether it's what Terentia has mentioned. 5 minutes in the sauna is not amazing. Maybe make it 10 minutes. But whether it's a change in your daily eating habits and exercise, try a small task that you want to implement into your day-to-day structure. Try it for a week. We would love to hear how that's impacted your life. Please email us with the results at info@impeltalent.com, or even better, feel free to post a link to this episode and tag the 5-minute consistent action that you have put into place this week. And we'd be happy to engage with you and hopefully start this on your journey to change, big change.
Very good.
But thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, TuneIn, or even on our website at www.breakingthechain.online.